Sky versus James. This is a matchup I think that Sky probably wanted to avoid a little bit based on his deck list.
Yeah, when we talk about these ink pairings where there's one color ink that's the same and one that's different, you say, okay, so we know what the tools are going to be pretty similar in the middle. We have the, Strength of Raging Fire, the docks of it all. But then it's like, okay, well, what's the big difference between the Ruby and the Amethyst? And the big thing that sticks out right away is card draw. James has so much access to card draw, while Sky is going to have removal. That's one of the beauty of Ruby, but it's going to be a tough one because he can't outpace James in the late game. However, I believe in a deck like this, it is titrated more towards an aggressive start. So that is Sky's opportunity, and it looks like he is getting that all sorted out for this round one here.
Mm-hmm. And it's first round of the day, right? We want to make sure that everything's nice, everything's organized, everything's clean. We got to set up for the rest of the day. So maybe a little extra, and especially when you're on the on-camera match. I think maybe it was a judge saying that I saw a little sleeve change there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that is something for people at home that go to these tournaments. When you get started, you have to make sure your deck list is accurate, that the count is accurate. So when you see pile shuffling, sometimes people will say, well, that's not a good way to randomize. And you are correct. It is not an efficient way to randomize. However, it is a great way to put your cards in 6 piles of 10, which tells you have 60 cards, which is what you built your deck to. So oftentimes players will do that just as a little mental check, and it's just a fun tradition, I think, too, that some people just like to do. Now, when people start doing like 7 pile shuffles, I'm like, all right, what are you up to there, buddy? That does not make sense. My 6 piles of 10 theory is off, and now you're just being funny over there. But they are cutting the deck, the courtesy that you can offer here to your opponent, and they are going to go start their altar phase. Now, this being said, they have their headphones on, so in theory, they can't hear us. But what is interesting, James, do you know what's ahead of you? Do we know what's ahead of you? Sky, what are you up to over there? But this is going to be one of those very fascinating things where they are going in and trying to get a read on what this is going to be, and looking for that perfect hand, which for Sky is going to be looking for that, I think, aggressive start line. I think a very, very heavy carry in this deck, especially in a Cheshire Cat meta, is going to be that Lilo bundled up, who is a brand new card, and she is putting in work. She's like a better Nala in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's really difficult for the current meta to challenge that card and remove it easily. Like you said, the Cheshire Cat moving the damage doesn't get rid of it because you have to deal the damage twice. So something like Nala would just get removed, where Lilo might be able to quest 1, 2, 3 times because it's difficult to make that decision to commit 2 sources of damage to that Lilo. She's weak in the sense that she only has 2 willpower, but she's very, very strong in the sense that she can deflect that first bit of damage that comes her way.
Absolutely. I mean, and we're talking about how Sky maybe didn't want to see Amethyst steal. I don't think he knows yet what it is that James is playing, but the thing is that Sky also has the element of surprise here.
Exactly.
He's going to catch a lot of people off guard with a new deck. You prepare for Purple. You prepare for dogs. You know your lines. You know your altars, right? With when you're going up against something you've never seen before, how do you adjust? You have to only adjust on the fly. So we'll see if James is able to. And now the cat's out of the bag.
Just straight off the first turn here, we see the Moana go into the Inkwell and a Mulan come down. We are going to discard a dock. That probably means we have another one in hand.
Yeah, and it also means that there might be an uninkability situation. I believe, talking to Sky, he has a pretty, everybody has a, some amount of uninkables. And Mulan has been a great powerhouse of saying, listen, this is not the opening hand I wanted. Let's tweak it a little bit. And either it's uninkable or, like you said, too many docks in hand, then we can go ahead and get rid of that. So here we go and see how fast of the start he's going to be. There's that Diablo.
Yeah.
So Diablo is very fascinating because it's very rare that you get all those stats on the same card, because he's going to be able to challenge for 3. He has that 3 willpower, and he can quest for 2. Now the downside is he's uninkable, but other than that, that is a powerhouse of a 2-cost card.
Interesting on the no quest with the Mulan disguised soldier here. I'm wondering, because I would think that you wouldn't mind taking that trade, right? So then you can kind of freely quest out your Diablo, but...
Well, the one thing about this deck is it really needs a wide board for 2 reasons. Light the Fuse and Strength of Raging Fire. Strength of Raging Fire we know we're really lover, but Light the Fuse is also one where he is hoping that James will quest out because you need those exerted characters. And so he really doesn't... Like you said, that aggressive start is what he needs, but he also needs to be protective of those resources for removal later. But like we said, this is tech we haven't seen, so I'm interested to see how it plays out as we move into this turn 3.
Yeah, this is a new era that we are breaching here with the Ruby Steel on the feature match. But like you said, Katie, you do want to get to that wide board, and one card in particular, we mentioned it already, that absolutely wrecks this deck is that Cheshire Cat. You need to remove it on the spot. And if you don't have a board wide enough to deal that 4 damage, then it will just destroy you the entire time. And here's a new card, the Scrooge. We're going to turn it over and let our opponent read it, but every single time you boost this character, it gets an additional strength and an additional willpower. So it is a 2-cost uninkable 3/3. We boosted it once already, so now it is a 4/4 coming down on turn 3, and this is a really resilient card that can battle the entire game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we see this Pocahontas, which says to me that James is intending on questing, because that Pocahontas has the ability to go ahead and take the lore of another character, not take it, but essentially use the lore of another character while she quests and increase her lore by that amount. But there is that darn cat, Cheshire Cat, inexplicable. And so now, the moment of truth. Sky, do you have the strength of a raging fire?
Yeah.
Ew, but even if you do, you don't have anybody to sing it.
Yeah, you'd have to
that's
play
true.
a 1-drop.
Play a 1-drop and then do it.
We ink the strength. We go for the angel here. Are we going to use her ability? We are. We're going to throw a snowball at the Pocahontas. The Pocahontas has been removed.
Did you
and
see what he discarded?
2 docks, yeah.
These 2 docks are his own. I mean, docks are basically the draw engine of this deck. So 2 of them already in the discard means that Sky's going to have to pick up the pace, otherwise suffer the consequences of top decking almost every turn. Am I missing something, or is that?
He might just have another dock in hand, and I think I see a dock in the hand of James as well. So this Amethyst Steel deck, I mean, one of the great things about it is it does not lack for card draw. It has so many different options in the card draw bag, as we see the Genie come down and draw a card right on cue.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons we said this matchup is pretty daunting on Sky's side is because we talk about interaction, and Amethyst also has access to the forced interaction. So Sky's trying to set up his board in a way that's most beneficial to him, where he has those numbers for strength, numbers for light the fuse. However, next turn we enter Elsa territory. That Elsa Fist Spirit loves to come in and say, hey, you know that one card you were holding back for a special occasion? You will not be doing that anymore. So Sky doesn't have access to discard. He doesn't have access to a lot of card draw, so he has to be very careful here, because I think he's wise enough to know that, statistically speaking, if not Elsa, then Damone is coming the turn after.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. And a Pete is going to come down. We are going to boost up the Ghost of Ebenezer here. And what do? I guess it's still at a standstill, right? Because you don't want to discard anything. You kind of used up all your ink here. I am going to assume with the 2 discarded docks that last card is a dock in Sky's hand, but it's telegraphed to James that the last card in his hand is a dock also. So, I mean...
That's a good sound. Honestly, ooh is how I would describe this, is because, I mean... It's so tricky, because I always say that with this kind of deck, any deck with Amethyst, around turn 5 is where things just get really oppressive, because it starts to be where they can draw cards, they can knock down all your guys with Demona or Elsa, Spirit, and it can be very frustrating. So he did put down that Pete, which means that Let It Go or Into the Unknown is now off the table. But there's still so much other actions that happen that are just built and baked right into the character.
The fact that James is thinking right here is actually pretty good for Sky, because I think if there was an Elsa Fifth Spirit, he would have slammed. It would be slamming down already. Maybe he has a hard ink decision.
Oh, he does have it in hand.
Oh no! Oh, that's rough. And I'm assuming we're going to exert the Angel.
Yeah, I mean,
or the Mulan.
The Angel has a lot of capacity
the Diablo, I think we're just going to go in with the Captain Hook here. That way the Angel can't take advantage of any lingering damage on like a Cheshire Cat or the Elsa.
Exactly. That once we get that damage hanging around, that creates a problem really for both of them. So in this case, we got that 2-quester 3/3, which can do some heavy lifting. But now we also have the evasive issue. So we have 2 evasives on James' side. So now we do need those pieces of removal to reach, to basically catch up with the speed of those evasive characters. So here we go. He did draw his card. So curious to see what these 2 cards are. There we go. Nathaniel Flint, and there's that dock that you said. I know you got a dock in there. But will it be enough to refill here? Because like we said, we saw the Elsa, but then right after Elsa is that Scourge of the Wyvern clan of Demona, where what I'm referring to with that is Elsa can exert one character, Demona exerts all of them, and so suddenly you're able to make favorable trades, and your opponent is left going, that was my plan, is to have these characters survive. So I think it's now just an issue of, can James keep up the card draw and keep up the pressure? Sky has not quested yet, so any card draw and any interaction is going to be devastating on Sky's side right now.
We have Pete here with thumbing the card, might be thinking about singing a little song, a little Strength of Raging Fire, potentially onto the Cheshire Cat or the Elsa or the Genie. I mean, 3 great options. We do have the Strength of Raging Fire. There goes the Cheshire Cat. I think that is the right target, and now it might be the time to start exerting these glimmers and questing, and Sky agrees. We're going up to 3 here, and we have Light the Fuse!
Wow. So when I did have a player ask Sky, they said, but why would you play this deck? And he said at the time, the reason why I play this deck is the title, Light the Fuse. He says, I have 8 strengths now.
Light the Fuse, that is going to remove the Genie. I think James is a little confused there. That is a card that we don't see a lot.
It deals 1 damage for every exerted character you have, which is why it lends itself well to this aggro strategy. Sky was the mastermind who figured it out.
Ruby Steel players, rise up and sleeve up your Light the Fuses, because right now, take a look at this board. It is a full stacked board on the side of Sky. We are going to sing and deal 4 to the Scrooge, but right now he's a 6/6.
Yeah, and that's just that beauty of a multiple boost. A lot of times we saw boosts that were just a one-time thing, but now we're seeing boosts where it's like, keep on boosting. Get as many cards under there as possible.
Angel coming out, it looks like, maybe, with the 4, and then we finish off the Scrooge with the...
Oh, no, this is at Sven.
Wow.
A rush evasive, which is fascinating, because we don't see it all the time, but he is able to rush in and get rid of that Angel who's been throwing those snowballs. But that is a trade. So now we just have an Elsa standing alone. So James needs to rebuild his board. Now Sky has...
There she is.
There's Lilo. We talked about her. Now Lilo is happy because there is no Cheshire Cat on the board, and there's just 1 character on the board, and that is exactly what Lilo wants to see, because she's either at best going to quest for 2, and at worst, also at best, will be a resource sink for James to have to sink multiple things into it. So now Sky can kind of get loose with his questing, only needing to hold back that delicate Mulan, who's worth more as a strength and Light the Fuse target. But yeah, we're now seeing Sky take off a little bit here.
And notably in a Demona heavy meta, I think that a deck like this, where you don't have cards in hand a lot of the time, actually is kind of beneficial, because it puts James in a weird position, because the other effect of Demona is not only exerting all of your opponent's characters, but you also, if you have less than 3 cards, you draw until you have 3. And the last thing you want to do is give an aggro opponent like Sky more cards in hand. If James does have the Demona in hand, he's actually going to be dissuaded to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard for Sky to draw cards, and we've already seen him struggle to keep those docks together. They all kind of got mangled in the first part of the game, but here we go. He will go ahead and draw for turn, and let's see what he is able. We have a Olaf. He has
a dock still, so this card will be the last secret. It is a Pocahontas. So we have a 1-drop, and we have the 2 ink to play the dock. So this is a really good turn for James.
Little backbreaking here, yeah.
Finds a Dumbo.
Can't see what that other card is.
Yeah, and the reason this hand is a little rough, or this board, is because that Olaf helping hand, he is able to go ahead and return a target, one of the characters back to James's hand, so if he so chooses, so that dock can suddenly be replayed. It's one of the few ways that we have to bounce cards back to our hand. So there's going to be a couple things that Sky will be looking for. Now, I believe that Olaf is only on your own turn, or is it eternal effect?
The Olaf is only no, it is an eternal effect. So if Sky were to fire the cannons or take it out, banish it on his turn, you could use the Olaf to bounce back the dock.
Yeah, a common way to play around the Malicious, Mean, and Scary Prince Philip combo is to put an Olaf down. That way you can bounce back your dock or your Genie or whatever you want in your hand.
You can save 1.
Yeah, you can save 1 character. Olaf puts his little stick hand out and saves him. We do see a Tinkerbell. That's the card that's being obscured there up top by the timer, the 3/1 1-drop. A card that Sky explains makes it really difficult for you to deal with the Lilo, even more so because you can't really commit resources to challenging twice into the Lilo, so you want to get rid of the 1-drop, but the 1-drop has 3 strength and battles back, so it puts your opponent in a really tough position if you go Tinkerbell into Lilo. But we do find Strength of Raging Fire getting rid of that Scrooge. Let's see what we've got in there. Sky doesn't give us a really good look, but at least one Tinkerbell.
Yeah, he says, I don't want to see it. And honestly, fair. I don't want to see what's under my boosted characters either. And there goes Dumbo the 8th Wonder of the Universe, who needs a little bit of evasive help, so that suddenly that Elsa, who's already exerted, cannot help that Dumbo this turn to draw cards. And James only has 1 card in hand right now. And it looks like we're in race mode. It was a situation where Sky was doing kind of some controlling, holding back. But now he's like, listen, if it's a race, I'm doing okay. But that is why James is activating into challenge mode here.
Yep.
Electing to send 2 characters into that Lilo. But the Doc does survive, but it is kind of, he's not questing, he's not gaining lore, and he's just putting as much work as possible. Oh, that was interesting there.
I think grabbing the Elsa was probably the right decision. You already have Dumbo, which is going to draw you cards, and Sky would need to find removal with no cards in hand off the top of the deck to remove the Dumbo. So you're good on card draw, and I think you can just keep the Doc on the board. The Elsa, I think, a little bit more valuable because you want to stop Sky from getting to 20, and if he keeps putting down unexerted characters, he'll eventually get there. But there's another Lilo.
Yeah. And I mean, he's making James make the choice between catching up with Sky because I mean, really, I always think of Lorcana as, do you want to be the one being chased or the one chasing? And right now, James has been chasing Sky and trying to catch up. And we see him have cards in here like this Pocahontas and Dumbo that are designed to be getting cards, be questing, but he has just been having to react to Sky. But Sky is, losing a tiny bit of momentum here. We have 3 lore on board, so if he was able to get that up to 15, then he just has that Lilo if we're able to do some efficient challenging next turn. So he's just being a little measured here. So, yep, this will clean up and try to make sure he has control of the narrative on that next turn and getting 2 lore.
And the problem for Sky is that there's only 1 Doc left, and that is brutal because we need cards here. This deck historically has gassed out, but okay, we're going to exert, and we are going to be able to take out this Lilo, which is not good news. But the good news is, I guess, that we will have to put 2 into the Lilo, so we might be able to challenge something with the Dumbo if we want to. James smartly identifying, we don't want the Demona, we don't want to give our opponent any draw, and it's another Dumbo.
Yeah, and it looks like a giant cobra as well, which can be really frustrating if it starts being a battle of attrition at the end. So in this case, he's deciding how he wants to deal with this, but does he let that Lilo go ahead and quest on?
He lets the Lilo. He lets the Lilo stay.
That's interesting.
Lilo and Stick on the board here. So now it really comes off to what's this
18,
card? Yeah.
If it's, I mean, he can draw into another Lilo. I mean, there's just so many. There's a few options here.
And there we go.
Oh, John Silver, the cook, comes down. And what John Silver's going to do is he will be able to target one of the characters on the board, and James will not be able to challenge. I think Sky's going to take this.
Sky's really, really close. On this turn, he'll be able to quest for 4. He'll go to 18. And it's going to be tight here. We are not allowing Pocahontas to challenge on this turn.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just tricky here because, I mean, he's got those 2 evasives.
Yeah.
Pocahontas, she's still... What do you find? What did I see? I didn't see it.
He hurled his Thunderbolt in the hand right now. Now, we can't sing it with the Pocahontas, but we can just pay 4 to target any one of Sky's characters here, but very smartly on Sky's side choosing the Pocahontas because otherwise you could just use the Dumbo ability to draw a card.
I thought he chose the Pocahontas.
To quest, it looks like.
Got
he
it.
quested.
He pointed to say, I'll take the 2 lore,
Which it looks like he gets 3 total, right? If he picks up that Lilo, correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's, it's nice using Lilo before you attempt to throw all your resources at getting rid of her. But it is tricky. That double... Knowing that you have to deal damage to her twice to get rid of her once means that you have to use resources. In this case, he's going to use his Elsa and the Dumbo. And now
he
has to give her 3 more.
Removal.
Yeah, 2 more things to get done here. And that's going to be not easy.
And he should not.
He has a Dumbo, a giant cobra, and he hurled a Thunderbolt.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough.
It's not going to be enough. And now, just like that, Sky's going to be able to quest to 20. Sky has it. guy went up against his toughest matchup and said, I don't care, I'm going to take it anyway. Look at this guy.
Yeah, he does it in game number 1. Sky is able to take the win there on the play, but we are going to go into a second game. He's got to do it one more time.
3 docks in the discard.
That's true.
No more draw. Sky found the way to win. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I want to point out one of the reasons Brent is so excited the last time we were talking about Sky, Brent had to go, oh no, the T-Po's got Sky! So this is very exciting. This is a redemption
arc.
Yeah.
Fun to watch,
yeah, it's fun to say, like, listen, Sky, there's no T-Po's here. You're safe. You're safe.
I mean, look at James's face. Look at these guys. They're smiling.
They might be hearing us, and that's why they're giggling at our shenanigans. They might be saying they're just hooting and hollering, and we are hooting and hollering because this is what we wanted. To see people say, listen, we have, at this point, there's in rotation, we have 7 sets. Since rotation, there's 3, so 4. So there's 7 full sets that cards that you can play with right now. That's a lot of cards. I'm not doing the math. 210 times 7, that's more than enough to have a lot of variety that we don't always see in these tournaments. So now we are going into game 2. James has seen, I've seen what you've been doing up there, Sky. I don't know how I feel about it. As James, I feel excited. But there might be a few other things that Sky can do that we haven't seen yet. We did see a Nathaniel Flint be inked at one point. I'm wondering what other cards might have been in there. Were there any that we saw be inked or not used? I mean, Doc only not being used once was probably not the way he wants to use it.
Well, he does have the Whisper Zeus in the deck, which I think is really,
right.
really...
We see that inked.
The Whisper Zeus is really, really interesting. He also has Sisu, the 3-drop, the 1/4, the Quest for 2, the Emboldened Warrior, I believe, and has additional strength for the number of cards in your opponent's hand. So this is a set where your opponents are actually drawing a lot of cards. Amethyst is really, really good at it. So a really resilient character that can quest a lot. But Brent, you talk about the 2 docks being in the discard. Sky only able to use 1 that game, but I think that was the most impactful dock that he could have ever imagined because he got the Strength of Raging Fire plus the Light the Fuse off that dock, and that's what saved him in that match. So, you know, it was about the quality of the dock.
Yes.
That's not necessarily
Not
the
the
quantity
quantity
of the
of the
docks,
docks,
but
yeah.
the Lilos came at the right time. Sky was able to just barely get over the finish line, but taking a look at his hand, he does have the Zeus in hand. I believe I see the Sisu as well. There's a Light the Fuse in there. He's got a little bit of everything. We'll see what he decides to alter here. This is a new strategy for him, honestly. It's a new strategy for everybody, but he's the one that made the deck, so he's got the advantage there.
You told me, bud. How does this thing work? And I mean, it's interesting because James' deck is one that we probably are like, come on, talk about how that deck works. And the answer is, we've seen this deck kind of, I mean, even before rotation, this deck was a viable deck because it has the power of play some nice, sturdy bodies, have the ability to get extra lore when you need it, have the ability to draw extra cards when you need it. And as we've seen, I mean, is there any way to draw cards besides Doc? I'm just trying to think, is there anything else that Sky has access to in this deck, possibly?
And Ruby Steel, I don't believe.
Yeah.
Maybe if one of his boosted characters gets bounced somehow.
There we go. So not here then. Yeah.
His opponent would have to draw
He
cards
has no way
on
to
his behalf. Yeah.
If he has no cards, he gets demoned, right?
Yes, he's like, you could help me draw cards for just $1 a day. You could sponsor Sky's card draw.
Do you have something for me? But yeah, it's interesting to see what James was playing there. We did not see the Christopher Robin, which seemed to be a card that these Amethyst Steel decks had been adding into their repertoire, as well as we did see the Pocahontas, but we saw Dumbo instead of Yzma, which is what these decks were playing last week, but decided to go back to the... Oh, there's Christopher Robin
like,
right
I'm
on time
here,
into the hand. Okay, I'm in the game. I'm in the game.
No underdog here.
This is standard dog. No under, just dog at this point, which in this case will probably be ink. Or no, we see a Cheshire Cat.
That's interesting to get rid of that card to play Christopher Robin, who's really not contesting the board too well. I mean, he can challenge into the Tinkerbell, obviously, but that will be a 1-for-1 trade. But I think Cheshire Cat is the card you want in this matchup.
I can't see the rest of the cards. He might have an additional Cheshire Cat. But
Could.
see, again, you don't know that that's the card that's great in this matchup because you've never played this matchup
This
before.
matchup has not existed before right
This
now.
is science. Now, we've said underdog a few times, and so underdog was introduced in Winterspell, and what that does is it basically favors you if you are on the draw, which means you're going second. So in this case, James was going first, so the cost is reduced by 1 if you're going second, meaning you can play a 2-cost card on turn 1. In this case, he played a 2-cost card on turn 2, so that's why we're kind of going, because a lot of times these cards we say, oh, well, you don't go on the draw, then it's inkable, but in this case, case, he's playable. So I think in this case, James is just favoring a little bit more of an aggressive start for that 2 lore and saying, don't worry, it's all going to work out. And he might have a heater hand, and that's why he's like, this is better, trust me. Watch.
No.
Just check out what I got. Yeah, notably the underdog mechanic, a very smart mechanic, as many people over the course of Lorcana have complained about the play draw disparity. Well, this is something that helps you on the draw catch up. You pay 1 less if it's your first turn and you are the one on the draw.
He's electing to go ahead and get rid of that Olaf because honestly, we saw the power of an unchecked Olaf. Because at this point, he does not want that Christopher Robin back. It was already expensive the first time. Why a second time? So that Olaf does not get any helping hands. And then we have that Diablo, like we said, is a 3/3 2-quester, which is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, that was a really tough decision. Sky thought about it for a while. He is the deck that wants to take advantage of Light the Fuse, take advantage of Strength of Raging Fire, but his opponent also wants to take advantage of Strength of Raging Fire. His opponent's on the play, so it was tough for Sky to make that decision, but ultimately I think it was the correct one here. Now, the Giant Cobra is a little bit scary, but not too scary because you can just use the Light the Fuse at a lower strength total to just get rid of it because of the Vanish keyword. We are going to see the John Silver go into the Inkwell and the Pete Games referee come down, so no Strength of Raging Fire this turn.
Yeah, now I didn't see, did he discard off that Giant Cobra or play it just...
He did discard off that Giant Cobra. I think James is saying, well, if you want to race, I can probably race a little more efficiently, and I'm the one on the play, so good luck. You don't want to turn that Christopher Robin sideways, though.
No, that is a fragile British child, and there we go. And this is why you don't want to turn it sideways. Who do we have here?
We're singing.
Okay, we're all just screaming. I'm scared. Lots of scary things just happened. We had 2 of those boosted Scrooge, or 2 pre-boosted Scrooges. I assume he will be boosted, and then right into that strength. So, James, if he wanted to be aggressive, that window is closing, and now it's into you got to respond.
Yeah, it's closing quickly, and I absolutely love this Scrooge card. I think that like you mentioned earlier, Katie, the addition of boost to the game has opened up so many avenues for deck building and different really cool combos that you can do. As we see a Strength of Raging Fire go into the Inkwell, not necessarily what you want to do, but these Scrooges are good against Steel because they're very resilient, and Steel needs to deal damage directly, and it's good against things like Sapphire as well, because if it's boosted up, you're giving me a full Inkwell, which I can take advantage of. I can start chaining docks, I can start flooding the board and getting really wide. So I think that these boost cards are really, really cool, and if you can use them to the best of their ability, they can really, really shine, and these Scrooges, I think, are shining brightly in this matchup.
Great, especially in these decks where you know you're going to have less card draw, because then you can utilize your ink resources towards boosting instead of playing something you know that you're not going to be able to have something every turn to play down. Maybe you're not going to be utilizing all that ink, as James is deciding now.
Ooh, he's being aggressive, which we've seen. I mean, now we have these Scrooges on the loose. We know that he has access. I mean, 1 Strength of Raging Fire is going to take that Dumbo, 1 Light the Fuse. So, I mean, this is a very, very, very scary position for James to be in because, I mean, this is a beefy board.
We're singing.
Oh, now we take out the Dumbo. We take out the draw engine, I believe, James.
And there's a dock. Dock off the top rope.
And we have enough, right, to boost both of those. Take out the Pocahontas. The board's about to be completely cleared.
Ruby Steel players, sleeve it up now.
Sleeve
it's
it up.
real.
You heard it here first.
Now, I will say that is one of the things that Sky, as a deck builder, is known for. He had a deck called McValue, which is where you get as much value as you can with as small as card as possible. This player has 4 ink on board, but look at all the things he was able to do, and it's truly value. So I think it's very fascinating to see his personality shine through with what he just did.
Yeah, James unfortunately drew Elsa there at 4 ink and had a dock in hand, so had to ink her, could not ink and play her, although she's not helping too awful much right now as the Olaf is going to come down. Maybe you can redeploy this dock, but you need to start challenging, and if you boost this Scrooge again, Doc will not be able to take it out because we're going up to a 5/5 as the John Silver's going to hit the Inkwell, and we have another dock.
So the good news is the docks were very late to the last party, but they are right on time. They all talked to each other and said, guys, we clumped up. We clumped up so hard. Let's spread out. Let's just spread out a little bit next game. And this is why, wow, what you're able to do. And there we go. We do a little bit more boosting, just making these ducks beefier, and just questing, because now the tempo is completely on Sky's side. We know for a fact that James doesn't have access to a lot of wide removal. Even if he had a Demona, he has 2 little wimpy guys out there on the board, so he just has to try to stay in this game. But you're already counting how well, tell me what you landed on over
I was
there.
just counting the amount of lore
Yeah.
that Sky has on board. I mean, look at this board state.
7, 8, 9. So I mean, we don't have game on board quite yet, but my goodness, we
And
are.
this is on the draw against your worst matchup. This is insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy to see the power of the wide board, the strength of Raging Fire, and we haven't seen the Light the Fuse in this game, but here comes Demona. We're going to exert these 2 characters. Sky's only going to draw 1 here, but James really needs to find some new options. He finds a Pocahontas, I believe, a a Christopher Robin, and a Genie Wish Fulfilled.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, he's looking for things like strength. He's looking for things that will completely change his momentum. He did.
You take the dock?
I don't know. It's a tough decision, right? I mean, Demona's only challenging 1 thing on this next turn. Maybe you just opt to keep the dock out there.
Yeah.
I would think that you would maybe want to challenge the dock into the Ebenezer. Yeah, I guess you needed both to do that. But it all just goes to show, right? James is in a rock and a hard place here. Sky is ahead on board. He's ahead in cards.
Please have Light the Fuse.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I know, I was like,
Light the Fuse,
please,
he
but
doesn't
no.
have it.
Instead, he just does the opposite, which is just put infinite pressure. And man, Light the Fuse is just a absolute bomb chamber right now, because my goodness.
Yeah. There's so many
And
cards,
there's
so
a
many
strength.
cards, just too late.
He found the strength, but my goodness. If only that said strength of every Raging, every Fire.
Yeah. If only that said be prepared, I think maybe he could get out of this situation. But
Yes.
unfortunately, it is not. It is strength of Raging Fire. Here comes the Christopher Robin, the Pocahontas that I mentioned earlier, but you can't stop this board, and Sky is going to end up taking
There's
this.
nothing James can
2-0.
do. 2-0. 2-0. Get out of here.
And he doesn't have to get out of here. He can still play game 2 or round 2. James, you don't have to go home. If you get 2-0'd by Ruby Steel round 1 at Inking.
It might be Winterspell, but it's warming up
It is.
here with this Ruby Steel action. We didn't even need to light the fuse this match for this to be a dynamite game. Look at this. Oh.
This is, like I said, the DLC, Richmond, the same thing happened. Brent is running around the room in circles.
And there it is. The handshake goes
And
out.
he had the other dock in there.
That is
And there was
Light the
fuse for the
Fuse.
next turn. He just had everything and more that he could possibly want there. And we saw it here first. Sky taking round number 1 with Ruby Steel.